Hey there, Jenny Bradley here, owner of Triangle Smart Divorce in Cary, North Carolina. And here's a question that comes up a fair amount in our consults. Do you mean I'm going to have to give up half of everything I own? To answer that, I'm going to briefly explain how the equitable distribution process works in North Carolina. To start with, you need to know that there's 4 types of property in North Carolina. There's separate property, there's marital property, there's divisible property, and then there's mixed property, also known as hybrid property. If your eyes haven't already glazed over, you may be thinking, great Jenny, how do I know what kinds of property I have? Let me give you some examples. What's separate property? Think of anything you owned before you got married, your high school yearbooks, maybe a car, those types of things. And inherited property is separate property. So what's marital property? Think of everything that you got between when you were married and when you were separated. Everything that you got during that time frame is presumed to be marital property unless it was a gift from someone else other than your spouse, or it's some sort of inheritance that you've received. Those types of things would be separate property. And what's divisible property? This is one that lawyers, including our appellate judges, don't get right all the time. It's confusing to be sure. And our lawmakers created divisible property in 1995 to deal with the period of time between when you separate and when you actually divide your stuff. It's meant to deal with things that occur that are just matters of timing or market changes. Market changes are things like the housing market failed and collapsed on us somewhat in 2008. And it started to rebound and we came out of that recession. And we're seeing the market accelerate again in 2021 as we come out of a pandemic. How the stock market is going up and down, how the housing market is going up and down. That's nothing that anyone in the marriage is having anything to do with. Those are outside influences and market changes. And divisible property was put in place to deal with things that might happen after separation, but really should be marital property. Such as, you separated in January 2021, you file your taxes, you get a refund. Well, that refund is based upon 2020's taxes paid in, labor, wages, and everything that was done during the marriage. And just by the timing of when we file tax returns and we get refunds, the refund comes in after you separated. Those types of things would be divisible property as well. And what's hybrid or mixed property? That's a piece of property that has characteristics of at least 2 types of properties. A common one we see is retirement. It comes up when you've worked for a company both before you were married and after you were married. So we have to figure out how much of this property is separate, how much of this property is marital, because it's only the marital part that's subject to division. Okay, now that you've had the 10,000-foot view of different types of property, let's talk about the division of the property. We start with a 50-50 presumption of marital property and divisible property. That doesn't mean you take a cleaver and you chop the marital estate in half or anything like that. You don't have to sell off everything and split the proceeds, but you do have to do a balancing. If one person is keeping the house, another person might need to keep more money in the bank. If one person is keeping the car and it's underwater, then another person might need to keep the debt to keep debts equal. But sometimes equitable is not equal. And there are a list of many factors the case law says we can look at to see if equal is equitable. I'll need to do another video on those factors because the list is long and somewhat complicated. The factors are based upon economic reasons. And that's equitable distribution in a nutshell. That's less than 10 minutes of it. They teach classes upon classes on this topic. My team goes to seminars which spend days talking about equitable distribution. Don't think it's as simple as I've made it here. This is a very high-level overview, but I wanted to go ahead and deal with the concern of people who ask, am I going to have to give up half of everything I own? Well, yeah, that's probably true, except for separate property. But remember, your spouse is going to have to give up half of everything they own too, except for separate property. If you have more questions about property division, or if you need help figuring out how to divide your assets and debts, please call our office and schedule a consult. This is a dangerous area to be trying to handle on your own.